Good afternoon. It is Sunday. Let's see what the date is today. I don't even. Sunday the 20th of December. Okay. What do we have to look forward to this week? Well, we've been hearing a little bit about the stimulus coming around the corner. And I don't know where we're at right now. It might be approved or maybe it passed. I don't know. Maybe there's a vote coming up. We will take a look at all this as far as the week ahead. We'll take a look at some charts. We'll go over some watch lists, some things that you guys want to take a look at, some of the things that I am interested in, and we'll move on. Okay. How's it going, Mark? Okay, while we wait for people to filter in through here, we do this every week, Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, unless something comes up, or I think last week my power went out. So, what do we have to look forward to the week ahead? There's a lot of names that I'm personally interested in. I'm not going to go over all of the charts, but stimulus just around the corner. Is this going to be a sell the news event, or is this going to be a continuous buying of the market? We will see one thing before. Well, first of all, we're down right now. Well, we're almost break even, 0.01%. And so, not a lot. I wouldn't say that that is bullish or bearish. It, based off the daily chart, just looks like consolidation. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here so you guys can kind of see the screen. I do like to watch the futures. I don't trade the futures, but I do like to watch them and get a gauge on where the market is. Sometimes you'll see the futures come all the way down and do a back test and then run all the way up. And then by the time the market opens, you don't really see that they back tested on an overnight session. So sometimes it's good to pay attention to the futures. It is the world market and a good indication on what can potentially be for the next day. Although I wouldn't always say that I would have to say that a lot of times we do see the market back to where it closed the day before. So something to be mindful of, something to pay attention to. If I go down here, and you can see this consolidation right now. If I zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see, let's do one of these deals. You can kind of see this a little bit. I have some trend lines drawn in here, a channel, and I don't know if this is totally relevant back here. I just happen to find these different areas. Yeah, we have a lot of room that we could begin to pull back, or I guess what I would have to say is if the market started finding itself below 36.23, which we're pretty far from there, but let's say the market found itself below that price area, we would definitely see some selling underway, but it can stay up in this area for quite a while. We could go into the new year and into January and February. The market can stay extended. There's nothing saying that it has to pull back. And so me personally, I've already closed a lot of longer term swing trades. I've closed not my long term account, but I have scaled back on the long term account just because I'm looking for another drawdown, maybe 10%, maybe 8%, maybe a drawdown of 15%. I'm looking for a little bit better prices. So for me, I'm personally looking for good short trade setups, but I'm also at the same time not saying that we could just step in here and short the market just because we think that it's overextended. Okay, off of that, how's it going, guys? How's it going, Death? How's it going, Benjamin? Yeah, I mean, I think that we'll see. We'll get into things. Let me just catch up on comments here really quick. And my enunciation is terrible, so I'm gonna butcher this name, but Abiet? How's it going, Dwayne? How's it going? And we've actually talked about that, how I can't pronounce that. How's it going, Tyson? So we will get into Dr. Detta asks, what are your thoughts on ARK for medium term? Thanks. Actually, I'm gonna add that to the list. And we'll go over that chart because it's definitely relevant. Okay, so Yeah, Tyson says his son put a picture on his profile. That's funny because my daughter's 3.5, and she knows how to change the language of Syrian. Okay, so kind of what we were looking at. Oh, and by the way, before we go too much further, and this kind of touches on your art question, at a certain point, let's do this. At a certain point, the market can continue doing this. Right now, we're looking at Tesla. The market can continue breaking out and rallying, breaking out and rallying. At a certain point, though, it's going to not be pretty. We're at 1,903% from 2018. Let's look at this year. 2020, we are up 900% from the March lows. So it doesn't mean it can't keep running, right? And this has to do a little bit. I'll go into ARK here in a minute, but this definitely can keep running. Do I want to be a buyer at $700 a share? Let's multiply that by 4 or 5. I forget what the split ratio was, but multiply that by 4 or 5, and that's what Tesla is really at. So we just have to really be mindful of where we are on the chart. And so since I'm on Tesla, let's go. There's a bunch of charts I want to look at, but let's go over to ARK really quick. Same thing, ARK. Let's go back to the March lows. We are up 291%. ARK's looking really good. There's nothing in here on the weekly time frame that says that we need to sell it, that we need to sell this name. If you're into this kind of, or ETF rather, if you're into this things that they are into, I guess, which a lot of people are, and it's kind of why you see this rally up here. But at a certain point, it's going to pull back, it's going to correct, we're going to have drawdowns. As far as being a buyer at these prices, again, I would want to see some sort of consolidation. Maybe if we pulled back to 105, 106, which would be a 17% consolidation. Maybe a 10% would be 114 area. So if it were me and I was looking to invest in ARK, I would look for some sort of a meaningful consolidation or pullback. Let's go over to and I'm not really going to go into the broad market too much. As far as you guys, if you want to see what my analysis kind of was, we could look at the Friday video. Let's go over to, where's the list for position on watch? Was that it? I don't know if that was it. Callouts? Oh, callouts. If there's something on here that you want to see, again, I'm going to delete these off the screen, but if there's something that you wanted to take a look at, feel free. And I'm going to leave FUV on because I want to talk about that one. And go ahead and post your tickers in the comment section. I'm going to go through the ones that I have, that people have sent me, and then we'll go into the ones that you guys want to watch. And while we do that, let me just double check the comments here again. Okay, so let's do FUV really quick first, since I already have that on the list. I posted this today, and weekly time frame looks great. Consolidation on the weekly time frame. Let's go to the daily chart. This is one that I'm watching. I'm looking for an entry over $14 roughly, and I want to see price action around $14. It'd be nice to see some sort of, it'd be nice to kind of see some sort of pattern, like if we can break up above $14. And what is my thing? Okay, there we go. If we can break up above $14 and maybe have a stop loss down here somewhere, I would like to see price action. I would like to see a breakout, maybe a back test, and then if I see continuation, I'm looking to go long, first of all targeting $15, and then targeting up here, which is around $16.60. So I want to see what that does throughout. Come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll see what FUV does. The next one is MJ. MJ, I'm only bringing this up because we did enter long back here. I don't remember when it was. It was somewhere. It might have been back here. It was around $11, 11 or 11.50, somewhere in that price range. I'm still holding MJ, and my plan, like I posted when we took the trade, my plan was to hold it for a few or at least a couple years. And the reason why is because we have a new administration coming in, and not to be political at all, but Kamala Harris has a history of favoring cannabis, and so I'm looking primarily for more news coming down the pike. As far as I'm not necessarily a believer in cannabis. It's just, to me, it just seemed like a really good opportunity. We are definitely trading this back in 2018, and I've kind of stopped trading it since then. But if you look at, if we did from the highs to the lows, it dropped 80%. Some of the names dropped 90%. And so to me, it looked like it looks like a bottoming pattern. You have a low, a higher low, and it looks like it right now. It's just consolidating on a weekly time frame. I'm looking for higher prices, but I'm also not willing to hold. I want to book some profit. So let's say we start pulling back here. If we get below this candle down here, I'm going to zoom in just a fraction here so you guys can see what. Well, okay, whatever. You get the idea. If we get lower than this candle here, and I'll highlight the candle, it's this one right here. If we get lower than that candle, I'll probably close out of at least minimum half the position. But while it bounces in here, I'm willing to ride this out and see what happens. Okay. BTI for Benjamin. So yeah, I guess weekly time frame looks good. I like this setup. To me, this is my kind of thing, and I don't know where we would draw the trend lines in here, but weekly looks good. It looks like it's put in the low, March low, and then it has since made a higher low, and now we're looking for, and maybe even a third higher low. Now it's consolidating on a weekly time frame. Let's go down to the daily chart, and I definitely like this price action. I'm going to do this. I like this price action. Just be mindful, we're coming into a gap right now. I know there could be support at this 20 period moving average, but for me, like, this is risk versus reward, and you can see this is a prior breakout area, and the breakout area I'm talking about is right here. It's more conceptual, so it's okay that it's undercut that price level a little bit. So if we drew this trend line down in here like this, be mindful though, because if it falls down in this gap and starts closing daily below the bottom, or rather the gap window, it might want to go down and fill the gap. So you could go long right here at current price. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Okay, you'll probably know tomorrow what price action is doing. If we can take out, let's say Friday's highs, if we can take out Friday high, that would be a really good entry. In my opinion, it'd be a good entry. You could start targeting up here probably to 38.93, and then almost $40 a share. I like this setup. Definitely like the setup. Definitely like the higher lows. I like the consolidation. And looking back, it looks like it could have more room to run if this overall pattern is a bottoming pattern. British American Tobacco ADR. Let's see what happens. I heard that the UK might be, there might be some, and I don't know if the British American, I don't know if this company is here, or maybe you guys would know the answer to that. I don't know if this company is here or if it is where it's located, but coronavirus, we are seeing a lot more lockdowns throughout the world and in the UK. Okay, so BTI, let's go to BLD. I like this pattern. Let me do the weekly, because sometimes if it's not as clear, which, okay, so this is definitely, I mean, you can't say this is bearish really at all. We're coming into the $200 price area, which maybe there's some psychological resistance right there. The thing is with whole numbers is that I see this a lot, where you'll see, like, people will say like, oh, there's gonna be resistance because it's a whole number, which that can be true. We do see that a lot. The thing is, and then it creates somewhat of like a doji candle, or what can we call this? Let's just call it a doji. This is what it does. Sometimes it'll do a candle like this, and it'll make you think that that's going to be like some sort of reversal, and then you'll see higher prices that take out 200. This thing, even though it is a little bit extended, I mean, we're getting up there 21%. That is on the daily chart. So we are getting a little bit extended, but if we can see consolidation in here, maybe even back test, come back here and back test 190 area, that I think could be setting up for a good play. So we have the breakout. Maybe we'll see like a back test, and then definitely if we take out the highs, but you could even possibly go long on that, and then maybe nail down like a stop loss if you're going down to an intraday time frame. Let's go to the hourly chart. Hourly chart, same thing. If you could maybe enter down here around 190, put a stop loss below this last hourly breakout candle, and there's actually two of them. There's one right here, and then there's one right here. So this is the first one I'll highlight for you, which is right there. It's not a huge candle, and the volume isn't like spectacular, but it's still breakout. It consolidated from this area, and then it broke out again. So I like the setup, and then maybe it will find support somewhere at one of these candles, maybe 194, maybe 190, or who knows, maybe we'll wake up and it'll gap higher if you're looking at long trade or not. Okay, ISRG. Nice chart though. ISRG, does this one have options? Hey, where is it? Oops. And you guys know me, I love the monthlies, but to each their own. It's just what I prefer. And these are going to be kind of expensive because it's an expensive stock, but so I like the look of this. This is kind of like the last one too, like where you see it's challenging this old high. And here's what I have to say about this, is that, oops. Here's what I kind of say about this is that because we consolidated here, so like you have this high right here, right? This is would normally be resistance, but because price already went up there, consolidated, pulled back, and in fact this whole pattern here is consolidation, and then it broke out of this pattern here and then ran up to there again. Because it already was up here once, I think that we would most likely see some sort of consolidation in here. And definitely if it does consolidate in here, in my opinion, it would be more of a good buying opportunity, or you could simply just wait for the breakout. It's more probable, just looking at the chart setup, that this is probably going to break out. Although it doesn't happen all the time where you'll see, when you see a pullback and the price runs back up there again, usually it's not going to then reject and then head lower. Although it is possible, but I think it's more probable to have higher prices just looking at this chart. I like this setup. It would have been nice to get in down here when you saw this higher low, higher low, higher low. When it broke out, which the breakout candle is right here, when it broke out to me and then ran up here and then it pulled back, to me that would have been the good risk versus reward setup as far as targeting the all-time highs like that, if that makes sense. But so now if I were to enter long, personally, I would look for consolidation. But I like that setup, and to me it's definitely bullish. And let me catch up on comments really quick so I don't miss anything and have a sip of my coffee on a Sunday night. Yeah, and so Tyson, with as far as the ARC thing goes, my only thing is, like, I don't know. I know a lot of companies that are in ARC. The thing is like I'm not fully informed on ARC as, you know, an ETF, and I know they're doing really well. We could put it like that, but that's obvious just looking at the chart. But I don't know a lot about them. What I do know is that a lot of the names that are in that are can be viewed as possibly really extended on the year, which doesn't mean that it can't double. I mean, it can still double in price, but do I want to be a buyer without a pullback? Okay. Where are we out on the list here? ISRG. Okay, ANGI. This one really gets me. So we posted this in the alerts on the Discord. By the way, if anybody's watching this and you're not in the Discord, rtbtrading.com. There's a little shout out commercial for you guys. Okay, so we posted this this last week. We went long. I personally was stopped out, and it's frustrating going back to a chart and seeing that it did what you possibly suspected it was going to do, or what it looked like it wanted to do, but it finally did the thing. So here we are, we're at resistance 1280, right? So if we can get above this resistance area of 1280, the only thing is we're already up 14%. So again, I'm personally looking for some sort of a meaningful pullback. And the thing about it is, like, I'm not going to buy something while it's breaking out. Like, I'm looking for a breakout, either a back test, or I'm looking to get in before the breakout you know, this was the best place to get in down here around 11.6. I don't even remember what price we bought in at, maybe 12.17 or, and then it opened, gapped down lower, stopping us out. I just didn't like the way that it looked. I didn't like the way it was setting up, but now it looks even more bullish than it did before. This pattern in here just by itself to me, where it ran up and then it traded, I know it doesn't look like it's sideways, but it really is basically sideways action or like a bull flag pattern. And then of course it was trying to challenge this resistance from this candle back here, and it finally got above that. So I would like to see some sort of consolidation in here, and if we get the consolidation, I would possibly be looking at being a buyer again with a stop loss underneath here. But of course this is speculating. I have no idea what's going to happen, so I'd like to see a pattern play out in here before I got involved. But that's kind of what I was looking at. So maybe you would see something like where it can actually make some sort of pattern where there's another higher low in there. And that might take some time to do anyway. So Angie, Huya, we're in this trade right now. Again, posted in the alert section. This is the breakout I was waiting for. I have to admit I got in before the breakout. That might have been a trading rule I broke. You know, I like this. And here's why. It's because this is why I was a buyer, because you saw this low, it consolidated, it ran up again. And I know it doesn't seem like it. This is pretty hefty of a pullback, but this technically is a pullback. And this is what we kind of saw in Piton recently. Remember Piton? We'll go look at that chart in a minute. I like this though. I like the way it pulls back. It's trading sideways, down angle, sideways. I know that's a lot of points off the chart, but what I saw here was opportunity, especially after the consolidation. And the biggest reason why was, I keep moving everything around here. The biggest reason why I was a buyer was because of this price action. You saw it put in a low here. It found support. It rallied away from support, turning it more bullish than bearish as far as these days were concerned. And then each day here you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row where price tried to fill this gap or close down here, and every time buyers showed up pushing the price back up. So I like the way this pattern looked. To me, this is definitely bullish. And so went long. I don't remember the exact price, and now here we are. So I don't know. I feel it might have been this day that we went long, which was on this little breakout of 12.16. I know we're coming into moving averages. It's going to take a little bit of work for this chart to get above the moving averages. If it gets above the moving averages, we're coming into resistance right now. And if we're not there, maybe Monday will be into resistance around 12.50 or maybe even down here at 21.45. So this is definitely something to keep an eye on. Maybe it will consolidate. If we can get some sideways action in here now, or a little bit of a pullback, maybe that would give us another opportunity. Keep in mind, we're still below 2 of the 3 moving averages. Was that it? Okay, now I'll see what you guys got going on. Oh, what did I say we would just go look at? Oh, Piton. See, my brain is now. It really doesn't look like it now that we're looking at this chart, but because of where price is currently. But remember what the chart looked like when it was like this, and maybe if I get it looked more like that, you know. And really, as we go through here, and if I do a drawdown from the high to the low, it was a 34%, 33.5% drawdown, right? And so you kind of see this with a lot of charts. You saw this massive run up, and granted, I might be more bearish than I am bullish Piton, but this is what the chart does, you know. And next thing you know, here we are at 142. So definitely bullish action in here, but this is kind of what I was seeing with what could possibly what Huya could, not that the companies are any related or anything, but what it could look like, right? Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna go to the comment section. Is that it for you guys? You guys have any more tickers you want to take a look at? What does this thing say? Error, you need to change the video resolution. The current resolution is 3840 by 2160. Is my resolution messed up? Can you guys see the resolution here? Open widget. $2560 by 1440. I don't know. That's weird. You want to go back and look at ARC? We went over ARC. Let's go back. Let's go look at it again. I don't know why it's giving me this error. It's giving me a warning message about my resolution. I don't know. I don't care unless you guys can, if you guys can see my screen. I don't care about this error message. Okay, so and since we looked at Piton, let's do this. Okay, so ARC, this is the daily chart, definitely bullish. I can't possibly begin to give price targets because we're all-time highs of 128.20 was the high, and we just pulled back a little bit off that high. There's definitely not a short trade set up just yet. I tell you what, when the short trade does present itself, I will be the first one. I promise I'll be the first one in, because when this eventually pulls back, it's gonna be quite the pullback. Let's go to the weekly chart. Same thing on the weekly chart. It's extraordinary. March lows to current price 289%. What I would probably be more interested in are some of the names that, well, the benefit of the ETFs, and this is the wonderful world of ETFs, is like we could just buy the ETF and we're relying on that firm or that investment group or that whatever to have the best companies in their portfolio. Those are the ones they're going to carry. The best companies are going to be, the top 500 companies in the S&P 500, and so we're relying on that to just work out. So if in theory it should always quote unquote go up in theory, because they're always replacing the bad companies with good companies, or the companies that don't meet the list with companies that do. I don't know how ARC works, but I'm just in general. So would I be a buyer at these prices? Definitely not personally, but if you are a long-term investor and you really believe in a company, it's my viewpoint that I wait for pullbacks. I wait for the pullbacks. If I see like if we look at Uber, for example, or Lyft, just looking at Uber, when Uber IPO'd, we waited and waited and waited and waited. I mean, sure, we can trade it, but I'm waiting for the really good deal. And in my opinion, like if the good deal doesn't come, I'm not willing to be a buyer. Like right now, I'm not going to be a buyer of Uber at these prices even. We just closed Uber recently, so okay. Let's get over to Alpha. Oh, Alpha. Ugh, I don't know. Are you in this one? I didn't mean it to sound so snide. Ugh. We could pull back to $6.16 and definitely remain bullish on the weekly time frame. And if we did pull back to $6.16, I would definitely be a buyer. Currently, I'm not so sure. We could consolidate another week in here. Maybe it's going to create a weekly bull flag. That's definitely something to watch. But the last couple days it does look more, this price action to me is more bear. I don't know what kind of pattern you call this, but this to me looks bearish, and the reason why is because we had a reversal candle or a dark cloud cover on heavy volume, and then we had this confirmation candle. If you took away the moving averages in this uptrend, previous uptrend, and just looked at the past 3 or 4 days, or the past, let's say the past week, then this second day, so we had Wednesday, so Thursday we had confirmation because we closed the day below the prior days. In fact, a lot of the days low, so it's almost like it broke down. The only thing is that it's still above this candle over here, so it technically could be looked at as a bull flag, but at the same time, this price action right here, and then of course, the last reason is Friday's candle, it tried to rally, it looked like it went up to run a test, and then it sold off at the lows of the day. So to me, this price pattern in here is a little bit more bearish. And if you know something that I don't, like for some reason it's up after hours on Friday because they had really good news, I'm not gonna be happy. This is kind of how I see it. We saw the same thing in Boeing recently, where and this is like sold off and it's been trading sideways. To me, it's more, this pattern in the last 3 or 4 days is more bearish than it is bullish. But if we take in context this previous run up, maybe this overall pattern is bullish. So maybe you could look for key price areas like I was saying, this price back here that it's sitting on right now, which is support. This would be like kind of like the line in the sand. You know, we don't have to get down to the penny here, but low is 750. Okay. Apple. Apple. So Apple, it broke out of this wedge pattern. What I find a little bit interesting is when it broke out of this wedge pattern, for some reason I was expecting a lot higher prices a lot faster. Like it didn't exactly broke out. Like you saw Tesla's breakout, it was like this. You saw Tesla's breakout. This one like trickled out. You know, there wasn't like a huge amount of conviction from the buyers. However, it did pull back and do a back test, and then it rallied from there, getting back above whatever line I have on the screen right there. Oh, the highs over here. It took out these highs right here, right? So it's bullish, right? And I actually, when I took this trade in Apple, like whenever it was, like a couple weeks ago or whenever it was, when we took this trade, it was like, I was expecting more of a move and it didn't come. It just went sideways. So I got out of the trade, and we're carrying on here. You know, we're in an uptrend. We're just, each day that comes, we're putting in higher prices. Maybe this is another back test from Friday. But I think this is easily, this, when the buyers do eventually show up, $27. I don't know where we'd measure from the breakout, or from, let's be conservative, 27 bucks. 130. 130 is a nice number. If we close the day above 131.23 or whatever price this is, 131.50, if we close a daily, if we close on the daily chart, 1 day above that price area, I would definitely put the higher prices on the board, like 140, probably all-time highs again. I was expecting way higher prices out of Apple, so maybe it's just taking its time getting up there. Okay. Oh, yeah, 130 all the way, Dwayne. In my opinion, my humble opinion. AAL. BTI has a bio division that is making vaccines and carries a 7+ dividend. Really? Ooh, I love dividends. Who likes those bank buybacks? I just closed Wells Fargo Club. I've been holding it for 2 months. However long. I just finally closed it. 3 months maybe. Yeah, a lot of those cannabis ones are Canadian. My the thing with cannabis, the reason why I stopped trading 18 was, well, not to mention the downtrend. Started downtrending 18 once the farm bill went through. I got out of the sector and I stopped messing with them. I mean, my viewpoint was it's never going to be it's never going to be legal. If marijuana can't cross state lines, it doesn't matter what the product that they come out with. If it can't cross state lines, you know, until the feds allow it, it's like. But here I am invested in it, so. Okay. I'm getting sidetracked here. AAL. Okay, so definitely bullish on the daily time frame. We're above all 3 moving averages. We had a prior breakout area around 1527, and I have a stop loss in at 1344. I don't know when that is from. Oh, that's from a short trade from way back here sometime. Anyway, let me delete that. Yeah, so it's definitely bullish. You could be a buyer. I think it needs a few more days. I think it needs a couple more days of consolidation, but or however long. Maybe not. Maybe it just needs tomorrow. I don't know. You have two different things going on. Number one is you have a high, a lower high. Is this going to be a lower high? That's kind of one of the questions, and that would show up a lot more clear on the weekly time frame. But then another way of looking at this is it sold off, it based and put in a low, a higher low, and then consolidated, and since then it's been making higher highs and higher lows. And the most recent is you have this up move and like a bull flag. So it could go either way. I don't know personally. I'm not trying to go long on really a lot. There's a lot of companies I'm not really trying to go long on right now. I just want to see more consolidation. I want to see more movement. Hourly chart. And by the way, guys, this is when I'm doing when I'm trading, this is what I do. I look at the different time, do you guys trade with all different time frames? You look at all the time frames to like be certain and be clear on what we're looking at. So it broke out through here, right? Back tested and it rallied. This looks a lot more bullish to me than it does in any kind of bearishness. But keep in mind, it could still pull all the way back here to this gap or go fill the gap before it takes off. So keep that in mind. If it does come all the way back here to the gap, the way I like to trade these is personally, I like to wait for the consolidation and then wait for it to take out that high. Is the highest probability, lowest risk trade setup in my opinion. Okay, where we at? Where we at? Oh, did I skip one? Oh, CCL. Oh, hourly AAL. Did I look at the hourly? I looked at the hourly. Yeah, I mean, is that support? I just don't like going long on these when it had a move like this. 61%. I like to wait personally. I feel like it just needs more consolidation. I mean, it doesn't have to have more consolidation. I just prefer it because I like the bigger moves, But then again, like, so that's the daily, or that's the hourly. This is the weekly. Now on the weekly, it does look like a little bit more like this whole pattern right here was a bottoming pattern, and rightfully so. It sold off 72% in a few months. I mean, so the other thing to kind of keep in mind is maybe there's something like this that's going to go on. In fact, the higher this gets on the chart, the more I would have to say that this trend line is probably going to pull price up to it, and especially this 200 period moving average eventually. I don't know if that's going to be in the next few weeks, months, or the next year, but eventually it will want to pull it up there. And then the question still remains: is this going to be a lower high? Okay, CCL, and I think that's it, right? Weekly time frame. Last week it looks like at some point in the week it didn't sell off, but it pulled back tested somewhere, and then it rallied again. So it looks bullish if you just looked at the last month and a half. It looks bullish, right? Let's go to the daily time frame. Now, so this is what I kind of want AAL to look right, if I can talk right. This is what I want AAL to look right, to look like. It's like this pattern right here where it bounces off the bottom here, it puts in higher highs, higher lows. It looks like there's a lot more consolidation in here on the daily time frame. You have a lot more days in here. In fact, it did pull back to this prior area. Let's zoom in just a little bit. And now it's a little bit more clear. So you have this back test in here, and so it higher highs, higher lows, and then it came down to back test this candle here, or close to that opening price of that candle, and it's since then rallied away. You could almost go long here with a stop loss below Friday's low, because rest assured, if Friday's low gets broken and it goes down and tests this day's low, whatever day that was, if it goes down and tests that the low of that candle, I would not. I don't know if I would plan or count on that low holding, because it was just there like a few days ago, right? So maybe it will hold, it'll bounce again, and then the third time for sure will probably, I shouldn't say for sure, more probable to fall through support. So is this a good area to go long? You could either go long on a breakout of some sort of, it'd probably be more like this. If you got a breakout, that would be an area to attack, this little area right here, in my opinion. CCL, TLT. Okay, TLT, we love the bond market. You guys see the Bond King guy? You guys know the Bond King? The dude is a beast, for sure. The thing with the bond market is it could take a year. So if you're shorting the market, hoping that, you know, and hoping that yields are going to go a certain direction, be careful. Okay, so in one aspect, I do like this chart, but in another aspect, I don't. And the reason why is because I feel like it should have already happened by now. In fact, let's do this. Let's pull up TYX. Oh, oops. What is going on here? Okay, so here's FVX, right? This to me looks, you know, we could look at this and say, does it look bullish or bearish? You know, to me, it looks more bullish if I'm just counting from August. From August till now, it looks bullish, right? Even this pattern like this, it's starting to curl up like we saw like every other thing in the market do. It starts to curl up, especially in the banks. And I don't know, since the banks can do the buybacks now, maybe that will affect this chart. But to me, this looks like it found support. It came back to do a little back test. It should have already fallen, you know, given way. The other one, so let's go to TYX. TYX, same thing, bullish or bearish. To me, personally, I think it looks a little bit more bullish. I don't see this thing just rolling over. Although it's possible that and I know it's you know, we're doing technical analysis on the bond market, but on yields. So it is what it is. We see the yields fall back to prices all the time. So you saw a high back here, and then you see the high right here, and now it's consolidating, curling up, making a higher lows and higher highs into this price area. Now, sure, it could come up here and then be rejected through this area, but it could also rally. Okay, let's look at let's look at TNX. Bullish or bearish, right? So let's go back to TLT inverse. And so I feel like at this point, I want to see if I saw a price above 159. I shouldn't say that. If it can break this trend line, I'll go long, whatever price it ends up being at. If it can break out, it almost looks like it brought a mega. What's the opposite of a megaphone pattern? It looks like the opposite of a megaphone pattern. So maybe a megaphone pattern on the bottom of a chart is bullish. I would prefer TLT to break out. I would love to take that trade. Okay, so XLF. Financials. Where's the chart? Okay, so I did this already, I did this already on Friday, so I don't know, we'll see here. There definitely was the buyback, and we had some good news come out on Friday. I think putting XLF around 29 or 29.50, somewhere up here. Definitely is going to be a breakout. So unless it gets rejected, unless we wake up with a candle that looks like this, where it's a failed breakout, which would be even more bearish than if price just stayed in here. But as of right now, it looks like it's going to break out. Maybe it's going to go back here and test this gap. But because we've been consolidating in here for this many days, I would imagine that it's not just going to stop there. I don't know if it'll just go to here and stop at the gap. I think that it'll probably go up into the gap. And the gap I'm talking about is all the way from back here, 224, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Coming into some resistance, but this is a lot of consolidation just underneath, and not just underneath the gap, but just in that price area. I don't think it's just going to hit the bottom of the gap window and then turn around. Oh, you went short on XLF. Ouchie. Maybe it'll be fail breakout. We'll see what happens. Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the Discord. We will see you in the next video. Feel free, if you haven't donated, go check out. I'll put a link. I'll try to put a link in the description of the video. The toys for hospitalized children. So thank you guys. Have a good weekend and have a safe trading week.